All right. So as everyone can see from my shared screen, basically this is the homepage of Rayyan. Now, assuming that you have already created a Rayyan account, you have already created reviews or been invited to reviews, this is what you will encounter. So you can see there's the active reviews section, and there's the active reviews section. Now, in terms of active reviews, it's important to know that with the free and the student versions, you are only allowed to have 3 owned active reviews. So as you can see, I own a couple more than 3 since I have a premium membership, a enterprise membership, but with the student and the free versions or memberships, you are only allowed to have 3 owned active reviews at once. If you would like to create another 4th review, then you are either prompted to archive, for example, a review or delete it. And simply, you can archive or delete a review by accessing it, or from the active reviews tab, access that review, and then you can, from the review settings, archive or delete that review. Now, once the review is archived or deleted, you will be able to create a 3rd review. And of course, the status will be active. It's important to know as well that any review that you do not access within a timestamp of 30 days will be automatically archived. No data will be lost during this process. And of course, any archived review can be restored by clicking on the restore button, taking into consideration the limitation of 3 active reviews, and of course, the role that you are provided on that review. So as the owner or as a collaborator, you'll be able to restore a review. As a reviewer, you will not be able to restore a review. We will be, of course, discussing in depth how each role can affect your permissions and access in a review. So to start with, I need to create a review. So I click on the prompt, create review, and then add the details for that review you're conducting. So let's call this review my systematic review demo session 4. And we can specify the type of review we are conducting as well as the domain. These will not provide or grant you access to certain features or functionalities. It will work only as an identifier for the review you're conducting. So out of the list of types of reviews you can conduct, choose the one you are, the review type you're conducting. If you couldn't find the review type, just state it as other, and simply add a description to further identify it if needed. Let's say the biomedical domain. Now, once we added the details for that review, click Create New Review. Now, notice in the background, the review was created. However, we are going to continue with the steps of the prompt to create that review. So in order to create a review and access it, we will need, of course, articles. So in order to obtain your articles, you need to perform your search on external databases such as PubMed, Web of Science, Scopus, etc. And then with those results, you can export them from PubMed or those certain external databases, save them on your local desktop in one of these supported formats. As you can see, Rayyan supports various types of formats. You can learn more about formatting by clicking here on Help Center, which will take you to this article. It will provide you with migration guides depending on the database you are obtaining your references from, as well as an example file that you can download regarding each format so that you can test it out or just simply use it to compare with your files that you have obtained. Now, once you obtain your files and save them on your local desktop, you can upload them into your review. You are allowed to upload up to 10 files at once with the maximum file size of 100 megabytes. So that gives you a total of 1 gigabyte of references that you can import into your review. Of course, if you have more than 10 files, you can separate them into multiple batches. So you can upload the first 10 files and then proceed with the prompt. Afterwards, you can access that review and re-upload more files within that review once it's created. So I have selected the 2 files that I have on my local desktop saved, and I've taken an extra step in renaming the files depending from which database I was able to obtain them from. Once you're done, just move to click Continue, which will basically process Rayyan to read the files. If they are in a supported format, you can see a check mark and the upload was successful. If not, just make sure that your references are in supported format, complying with the standards that Rayyan accepts. Once you're done, move to the 3rd step of inviting members. If you're working alone, you can skip that part. There's no need for it. If you're working along team members, you must invite them using the email address they used to register their account on Rayyan, separated by a comma for multiple entries. And if you are inviting a member who is not yet associated with the Rayyan account, so a new member, They will receive that invitation email. However, they will still need to confirm and set up their account before being able to access that review you invited them to. So basically, once an invitation is sent, it will be followed by a confirmation email in which Rayyan creates an account automatically for that member. However, it will still require you to verify, confirm, and of course, update. Of course, you will be able, once it's confirmed and updated, to access that review. Now you can specify the role for that member. So for example, if you're inviting a member to only observe the work, you can invite them as viewers. They will not be able to take any action. Rather, they will only be able to observe the work. Inviting members as reviewers will grant them access to the screening functions of Rayyan. So they will be able to assist in adding reasons, labels, decisions, so they can vote to exclude or include articles based, of course, on the screening criteria you have set, and they will be able to use filters. However, reviewers cannot assist in the data management, deduplication, data extraction, etc. All of these features are available to a member who is invited as a collaborator. The collaborator will be able to do anything a reviewer can. In addition, they can assist in data management, such as importing, exporting, or uploading full text PDF files and attaching them with their own corresponding references. Additionally, collaborators will be able to assist in the deduplication and data extraction stages. However, even if you own a membership, of course, in order to invite a member as a collaborator, you will need to own a membership, any type of paid plan. So with the student, the professional, individual memberships, you will be able to invite members as collaborators. However, even if you invite a member as a collaborator and that member is not subscribed to a paid plan on Rayyan, they will only be able to access the free features available with the collaborator role. If they own a plan, they will be able to access the premium features such as auto resolver for a faster way to reduplicate articles. Additionally, Pico highlighting and filters, creating a Prisma flowchart diagram, and creating a limited amount of samples. So in other words, your subscription will not extend to other members. So other members will need their own premium or paid subscription in order to access premium functionalities. Of course, you can add a reason or message for this invitation. And once you're done, just click on invite and you will be redirected to the overview stage of the recently created review. You can follow this guide to prepare your data for screening. As you can see, we are done creating our review. Of course, we added references, we invited members. At any time, we can add references, more references, or invite more members. Additionally, all we need now in order for us to start screening is to resolve the duplicates detected and define the screening criteria. All right, so let's go over the overview stage before heading on how exactly you can use Rayyan to accelerate your review in progress. In the overview stage, you can see summary of results and summary of the imported references and the work from all other members, additionally, the members you have invited. So from the first glimpse, this section informs you about the review information, in which you can change it as the owner at any time by clicking on Edit Info from the action bar. Or you can invite more members as the owner. Additionally, you can be able to handle blinding in the review. I'll be in depth explaining blinding once we are in the screening stage. Of course, the next section will be for data summary, in which it will provide you with all information regarding the imported references, or brief information actually. Additionally, you can add references at any time from your device or from my library, in which I will be explaining in just a bit. You can start the duplicate detection from the stage, resolve those duplicates detected, and see the resolution of the summary of resolution. For review members section, you can switch the role for team members easily as the owner to provide more or less access and permissions. You can as well revoke or delete a member's access. Revoking is available with the paid plan, and by revoking a member, you will actually only stop their access to that review. However, all their decisions, all their customizations will be retained available for all other members who have an active status on this review. You can restore that member at any time by clicking on Restore, so they will be able to access that review again. And deleting a member will result in deleting their access as well as their contributions. And lastly, you can find the screening summary, in which you can, in this stage, define the screening criteria to include or to add your inclusion or exclusion criteria. So for example, I'm working with randomized trials as an inclusion criteria, and one of my exclusion criteria is controlled trial. You can edit, remove, of course, criteria as you needed with the right permissions. For instance, comparing between roles, reviewers will not be able to add, edit, or remove criteria. The only thing that they will be able to do is view the criteria. The collaborator will be able to view, edit, and remove the criteria as needed, similarly to the owner. And lastly, you can track down your own progress, the team progress, and the screening summary. Just for your information, the time and session spent on that review, if you want to track this information, you are in need of the student membership as a minimum for your own progress, to track your own progress and time and session spent. For team members, you will need a professional membership as a minimum. So there's a difference. With the student membership, you will not be able to see the time and session spent per team member who is collaborating on the review. However, you will be able to only view your own. A professional membership is needed to preview and track the time and session spent by other team members. Now, as I mentioned, you can add references at any time. So you can add references directly to your review from my device, or you can simply build up your references in your library and add your references directly to your library, in which you can, once added, let's see, for this file, once it's added, you can add it and import it to a review directly as follows. So I can check the box next to the reference file, click on import review, and then you can select the target review or create a new review from the stage. Of course, you can upload as well full text PDF files from the stage. And it's important to upload your full text PDF files in your library so that with a premium membership, you will be able to automatically assign and attach these PDF files with their own citation. You can create folders and add your files within that folder for better organization. Additionally, any file or any PDF file or any citation or reference files, you can, of course, at any time select them and download them or delete them. As you can see, I'm selecting these two files. I can re-download them. I can as well delete them. And simply, I can view the information for that file. So you can see the size is 1.2 megabyte. It's a references and modified on 15th of December. For the PDF file as well, I can get the information, as you can see, and you can see and view the title of that PDF full text file. Of course, you can directly add PDF files to your review similarly as the citations. So you need to first, I will show you exactly how PDF files can be imported and attached to your articles. So let's go back to the review we created, and let's go to the review data stage, where exactly the stage is mandatory for preparing your data for screening, in which you will need to first detect and resolve the duplicates before heading to the screening stage. So as you can see from the first glimpse, we are able to view the articles in title-only layout. Double-clicking on the title will open the article's information so that we can review it. And at this stage, we can start adding labels to organize our work and to have like simple labels for better organization and to track down articles based on those labels. So this article contains statistics, for example. I'm going to add label as statistics. So you can see once the label is added, I will be able to find it in the list of labels for future use. And if I need to further clarify my labels or decisions or reasons, I can add notes. Now, what's cool about labels is that you can track them at any time from the filters workbench. You can scroll down or use the search bar to search for the labels facet. And then you can filter out articles including that label or assign that label. Now, notes you cannot basically track and filter by note, but as a workaround, you can use labels for that instance or that case. For example, this article contains a note that I have included. I need to track down notes, so I can add a label as notes. This way, it's easier for me to filter by notes and see the articles that I have a note added for, in which I can edit or remove that note as per my preference. Now, if you don't want to view the articles in title layout, you can just simply switch it from the review settings to title and abstract view. This way you can find the articles listed on the left, the titles, I mean, with the information on the right. I can expand and collapse or adjust the width of the dialogue for the titles or for the abstract. Moreover, for better personalization settings, you can access the settings next to your profile icon and choose the theme based on your own preferences, in which the light and color grind are available with all plans. However, the ability to access the dark theme is required for paid plans. So with a paid plan, you will be able to access the dark mode. And lastly, you can increase or decrease the font size as per your own preference. Let's go back to title only view, and let's start with resolving the duplicates. Now you can see I'm tracking down the articles the files that I imported, so I can track them one by one and filter by each file to see the articles that are provided within that file. And the total number of references is 640 based on the two files I imported. 560 from PubMed, 80 from websites. I can delete files which will be lost permanently. I can restore them again from that review. And it will result in losing the customizations taken throughout the review progress. So be cautious while deleting reviews or deleting files. Additionally, to detect duplicates, you can click here, which will basically work. The system will work on analyzing the metadata of references, and it will flag possible duplicates and provide you with the list of possible duplicates it was able to find within a matter of seconds, of course, depending on how large your list of references is. Usually it takes faster than this, but I have a slow internet connection today, so it might take a bit of time, or there is a load on the servers. Actually, you can see the duplicates were detected. I need to click on unresolved so that I will be able to filter by the detected duplicates. Now, out of the 640 articles, the system was able to detect 152 articles and flag them as possible duplicates. In order to resolve those duplicates, there are two methods. There's the manual way, which is available with all plans, including the paid and the free plan. Or you can use the semi-automated way by setting a set of rules and resolving the duplicates based on a criteria that you have set. This is only available with any type of paid plan. So for the manual way, I need to select one of the duplicates, let's say for this one, and click on resolve. I can see the similarity percentage rate indicating that this article is contains a 100% similar article. Now, in this case, we can see that the system is comparing a 1, which is on the left, with duplicate number 2, which is on the right, out of 3 possible duplicates that are flagged similar. So in order to resolve those duplicates, I need to access and search for the metadata, see the differences, which will be highlighted in different colors, as you can see, as you can track by unmatched information and extra information. We can see these articles or duplicates are an exact match, but the difference is from which file they were obtained from. So let's say I'm going to keep the one on the left. The system will delete the one on the right, which is 2, and the system will jump to compare the next set of possible duplicates within the same group. So now we're comparing 1 and 3. Again, check the metadata. Both are similar and exact matches, so I'm keeping the one on the left. Then, once we are done with that group, it will jump to the next group. In this case, it contains 15 articles. Before we head in and resolve this group, let's see how things went. So first, we deleted 2 copies, as you can see, and these copies are no longer available in our data, indicated by the total number of references left for screening, which is 638. And only 1 copy was marked as resolved, and this copy will be available in our data. So technically, the total number of unique references is the sum of total of number of references imported, or total imports, which is 640, minus deleted duplicates, which is 2, will result in the total number of unique references left for screening. Now let's have a more complicated group of duplicates to resolve. So as you can see with this group, we have 15 similar duplicates. So I need to check out the duplicates metadata, which as you can see, it's obviously not a duplicate. So I'm going to keep both articles, 1 and 2. So I need to click keep both articles. Then the system will jump to compare 1 and 3. However, in this instance, you can see the differences in the title is only the formatting, since this one contains capital letters and this one does not. And this can affect how the autoresolver works. So keep that in mind until we move to the autoresolver. For now, they contain the same exact titles, but everything else is different. And this one lacks the DOI metadata, so it's hard for us to actually confirm they are not duplicates, but we can go back to see the authors are different, the journal obtained from is different, plus the volume is different, so we can see a lot of differences. And we can confidently say both are not duplicates. So again, I'm keeping both. Notice now the system will jump to compare 2 with 3 and not jump to compare 1 and 4. And since we considered 1 and 2 as not duplicates, now we should complete comparing 1 and 2 with 3. Again, they are not duplicates, keeping both. And notice how it will jump to compare 1 and 4 afterwards. So it will allow us to compare each possible duplicate with the other duplicate. So now we are comparing with 4, afterwards with 5, 6, 7, until we reach 15, and we are done with resolving all sets of duplicates. So again, both are not duplicates, keep both. Not duplicates, keep both. Not duplicates, keep both. Now we jump to 5. Of course, I'm gonna keep all the articles that are not duplicates. And once I detect one of them is a duplicate, I need to remove it. So far, we reached duplicate number 8, and there are no duplicates. So this might take a bit of time until you complete resolving all the duplicates available in this group, which is 15. So we reached duplicate number 10. As far as we go, there are no duplicates detected based on comparing its metadata, and an easy way to identify based on the differences highlighted. Now 12, so we have still 3 more duplicates to compare the rest with. 13. Of course, when you are working with the duplicates, you need to move slower than this, since, for example, this is a duplicate. So if I kept going, keep both articles, I probably will mark this as not duplicate. But in fact, they are duplicates, as we can notice. So I'm going to keep one of them. Let's keep the one on the left, since we are keeping the ones from PubMed, as previously stated. Let's see, again, these are duplicates. So this is why I'm keeping the one from PubMed. Notice that the one from Web of Science contains information, let's say. And now we are done with resolving these duplicates. So it will jump to the next set. Let's compare their metadata. These are not duplicates. These are not duplicates, even they have the same author. But notice the volume is different. For this one, it is a duplicate, as you can notice from the DOI. But this contains more information, more topics. I'm keeping the one on the left. Now notice what happened is that the ones that were not duplicates will be always available in our data. They will not be deleted. They will be treated as resolved. But since we are comparing 2 duplicates together and we mark them both as not duplicates, one will be considered as a resolved duplicate and the other is as not duplicate. And you can see this is the one that we considered as a resolved, and the rest were considered as not duplicates, and they were retained in our data and these two are the deleted duplicates from the set of group of duplicates that we resolved. For a faster way, you can use the auto-resolver by setting some rules and based on the metadata fields. First, you can keep the best duplicate version from the files you imported. So as I mentioned, I'm keeping the ones from PubMed and deleting any duplicate that is available in both, prioritizing the Web of Science one. If you keep it blank, it will not prioritize any of them. Now for the auto-resolver criteria, the more you choose, the more accurate the resolution will be, and the more difficult it is to miss any of these duplicates. So for example, if I go by title, year, and authors, the system will work on exact matches. If it finds a duplicate, two duplicates with the same exact title, year, and authors, it will resolve them. If there is a missing field in one of them, it will not be resolved. If both duplicates are missing, for example, the same field, which is the year, it will not also resolve these duplicates, as it will rely on actual metadata rather than marking them both as duplicates, since they are both lack the year field, even if the title and authors are an exact match. To make it even more accurate, you can combine it with the article similarity percentage rate, in which you are allowed to choose from the threshold from 50 up to 100%. However, with Rayyan, it's always recommended with 95% or higher, so that you don't end up resolving articles which are false positives. You can find duplicates with high similarity rates, such as 91, 92%, but they are not duplicates. Their metadata is similar, but they are not duplicates, maybe different volume, as we saw from one of the duplicates we resolved manually. This is why we always recommend 95% or higher, and combining it with a duplicate criteria to resolve. Now, in one of the duplicates we resolved manually, I informed you that a different format will affect how the auto-resolver will work. So we have previously saw two duplicates with the same exact title, but the title in one of the duplicates contains capital letters, the other does not. This can affect how the auto-resolver works, since it will work on exact matches, even with the formatting. So in this case, always make sure to enable the text normalization, which will convert all letters into lowercase letters, and it will ignore punctuation, unifying the formatting of the text of all of the titles of the duplicates. And as well, make sure that you always enable the article customization protection, which is always enabled by default. As we can see, disabling it will result in deleting articles you have already decided on or added a label or a note. So you don't want to end up losing articles you have already worked on. Let's see how this systematic auto-resolver goes with this criteria, and let's see how many articles or duplicates it will be solving. From the first glimpse, we are left with 29 articles or duplicates to resolve. Only 103 were resolved in this instance. I can now, since I have a lot less duplicates to resolve, I can see and track the metadata to figure out what is the second resolution will be. So I can see these are duplicates, but there's different volumes, different authors, etc. But the title is an exact match. So imagine if we chose to resolve duplicates by title, we would have lost one of these duplicates. This is why, for example, if I want to use the systematic auto-resolver again, since I firstly use title, year, and authors, I'm going to use DOI in this case to see if any articles have the same DOI, but one of them contains less metadata. So as you can see, probably a bunch of them were deleted. Although it's indicating 49 were resolved, actually only, as you saw, out of the 29, 14 were resolved. So this indicates that previously resolved duplicates are part of this computation, but they were already resolved. This is why the system only deducted 14, the 14 missing ones that were not previously resolved. Now, even with using the auto-resolver, you might end up with having duplicates hard to resolve using the auto-resolver. So I can go back again with the resolved duplicates, compare them manually. So as you can see, these are not duplicates. These are not duplicates. These as well are not duplicates. Not duplicates. So I can go ahead until I'm done with resolving the 6 left. All right, so we are done with resolving the duplicates, and we are ready for screening. Now for the screening stage, you can go ahead and start screening by taking decisions whether to include, exclude, or maybe. Maybe is a tentative decision. It's used when you are not sure whether you should include or exclude, and in most cases, users will use it for full text screening. So I'm going to add a note as full text screening or as a label to track down my maybes. If you mistakenly taken a decision, there is no way to reinstate that article to the undecided status again. So in this case, you can switch it to maybe, but then add a label so that you can track them as undecided yet or not screened yet. So this way I will be able to distinguish between the maybes and distinguish whether these articles have been screened or not, even if I made a mistake. What's cool about it as well, you can use shortcut keys for a faster way to handle articles and take decisions, labels, reasons, or notes. By default, you can view the shortcuts and use them. However, to customize these shortcuts for your own preferences, you will need a premium membership or a paid plan. Just to quickly inform you how shortcuts works, if you on your keyboard, if you click on I, it will include, E for exclude, L to start typing a label, let's say notes again, and for notes, and of course I can retake a decision. Now, for exclusion reasons, you probably want to clarify or back up your excluded articles with reasons why you have excluded them. So you can use the reasoning, which will work similarly to labels. Once assigned, it will be attached to the list of reasons. However, we provide you with a predefined list of reasons that will help you know what reasons you might use. So wrong outcome, wrong drug, foreign language, etc. As long as you're not using any of these predefined reasons, they will not be available in the filters workbench. As reasons available in the filters workbench are only the reasons that were assigned. You can add your own custom reason. So let's say wrong age. Once added, it will automatically exclude the article. So there's no need to exclude and then assign a reason. Alternatively, you can just simply assign that reason. And with a shortcut, you can click R, type down the reason, enter to apply it. L for labels, type down the label and apply it. All right. Another important thing regarding the keyboard shortcut keys is that you can use the arrow keys to navigate between articles, and you can use it with the shift key to select more articles at once and take a decision at once. For premium users, you are also allowed to select all articles part of your filter. So you can check the box next to all articles, which will select all articles and take a bulk action. So for example, if I'm using one of the filters available from the keywords for include or exclude, which are basically going to highlight these keywords in the text, and as you can see, it will indicate how many articles that this keyword is available in. Additionally, these are a custom keywords. These are predefined, and these are the most common used keywords in research. Of course, you can use them at any time. You can add your own custom reasons, and you can delete those available custom reasons by selecting them, or selecting all at once and delete them. To add your own custom reasons, keywords, for example, let's say congenital, separated with a comma for multiple entries, and let's say infection. Once added, the system will automatically calculate how many articles it was able to find these keywords within. Now, for example, I'm working with my screening criteria. So it's randomized trial for inclusion. And this is an easy way to exclude articles. So I can say randomized controlled trials, and the different variation of randomized. As you can see, one with S and one with Z, depending on the variation, whether it's in American English or British English. So once I selected them, I can easily see that 20 articles contains either one of them, which will work on or operator. And then with the premium membership, I can select all at once. Without it, I need to select them one by one. Or just simply go one by one. So let's select them all and include. Now let's say the controlled group or controlled trials or studies. I'm selecting all and exclude them. You can just simply as well exclude with the reason, and let's say controlled trial. Let's clear the filters. Now, another important thing in terms of screening is if you are working on a collaborative review with other members, you are probably going to need to split the amount of references and the workload among team members so that each team member will screen a equal amount and the randomly allocated articles, which will basically result in the elimination of risk of bias, and it will be easier for us with blending on. As I mentioned earlier, blinding will be taken into consideration in all stages. So for screening, you are screening with blinding on by default, which means you are independently screening without knowing the other member's decisions. So probably I can screen these articles, and the other member who is participating in this review is also screening those articles. I cannot see his decisions or her decisions. I cannot see the labels, reasons used, or the notes. I will be only able to see them once the blinding is turned off. Blinding can be controlled only by the owner. So once the owner turns off the blinding, you will be able to see the results from all other team members. Now, in terms of, as I mentioned, you want to have equal distribution of articles, and you want to group them into samples so that you can assign these articles to another reviewer to work on. I can create samples, which basically with the free version, I'm only allowed to create one sample. With the paid version, I will be able to create unlimited amount of samples. You can choose the data source, either all references or the filtered results. So for example, I can create a sample out of the included list. I need to filter by included, and then it will be available in the filtered results. In this case, since I want all articles, let's say the unassigned ones, be allocated through samples. So I'm going to choose filtered, which is the unassigned, undecided articles. And then I'm going to keep the setting as randomized so that articles are randomly allocated to the samples, or you can go by sequence with any other option. Let's take a case we are a team of 3 people. So I'm creating 3 samples. Sample 1, sample 2, and sample 3. Of course, you can name them as per your preference. And then you need to assign the percentage, which will auto-calculate the number of articles available based on the total number or the data source. So if I selected 20%, it will calculate it to the approximate number, which is 102. If I, for example, specified the total number of articles, it will auto-calculate the proximity of the percentage. However, in this case, I'm going to go with 33%, which basically results in 169 articles to be split on across the samples. If we combine the numbers, 169 times 3, it will result in 507 articles allocated already. However, we are missing 4 articles not allocated. So I can simply just adjust the numbers until I reach more than 100%. So this indicates I have reached 100%. I cannot more than 100%. So if we combine them, it's going to total 512. So we cannot create samples unless it's 100% or less. So this way, they are totaling 511, containing all articles. Then I can click create. Now, since the samples are created, as you can see, I can use the filters workbench, search for the sample data facet, and now I will be able to work on my own sample. However, there is no manual or automatic assignment of samples to other collaborators or members participating in this review. You can use the review chat to communicate this information, or just simply use any other communication mean. For example, I'm reviewer 1, I'm the owner, I will screen sample 1. Sample 1 is assigned to me. For reviewer 2, you will screen sample 2. And lastly, reviewer 3 will screen sample 3. Now, on top of each member screening one of the samples, you can just simply, if you want each article to be screened by 2 different members, you can simply reallocate and redistribute the samples after the initial screening. So for example, after each reviewer screened their assigned sample, please follow the new distribution. So now we will say reviewer 1, which is me, the owner. I will screen sample 2 in this case. And reviewer 2 will screen sample 3. Reviewer 3 will screen sample 1. This way, each member will screen 2 samples, 2 different samples, and the articles are allocated randomly to the samples. So we are eliminating the risk of bias. Plus, each article will be screened by 2 different members so that it's easier for you to resolve conflicts and, of course, see the level of agreement and calculate the Cohen kappa score. Now, for example, if you are a team of 6, you can assign pair of screeners for each sample, or you can create 6 samples and then redistribute the samples among team members so that you have 2 exact decisions or 2 articles, or each article to be screened by 2 different members. And lastly, you can, of course, last 2 features, you can enable the Pico filters, which is available with the paid plan. And basically, Pico filters will activate the keywords available under each element for population, intervention, and comparison, which are combined under one group, and the outcome. These keywords are mainly used by biomedical researchers. And basically, for example, if you are looking for a target population, such as the children or infants, adults, you can find the keyword in the list of keywords for related to Pico filters once it's extracted. So we can see that Pico are done, keywords are extracted and added under each specified element. Now, for example, if I filter by children, I will be able to see the Pico. For example, 157 children were proven. This is the population. And this way you can track down each element. In terms of Pico filters, you cannot add or remove keywords since they are extracted. So the system will work on analyzing the metadata of references imported and provide you with the keywords related to each Pico element. Unlike the keywords for include and exclude, in which you have full control over, and you can add or remove your own keywords and adjust as per your preference. For the last feature, which is the ratings feature, it's powered by AI, and it basically will work on predicting and classifying undecided articles based on the decisions you take on the articles that you have excluded or included. It will analyze its metadata of these included or excluded articles and will provide ratings and relevancy score for the undecided articles, so it's going to be easier for you to screen. So in order to basically start the computation and calculate these ratings, you will need to take a minimum of 50 decisions from include or exclude, in which if combined, for now, it equals 42, which means we still need 8 decisions to take. And it will require 5 at least from exclude, 5 at least from include, which we have successfully fulfilled. The more or the larger the data set, the more decisions you probably need to take to have better ratings. You can run the compute ratings feature multiple times, unlimited times. There is no restrictions. However, you need to wait 10 minutes between each computation. Ratings can be adjusted and can be updated based on new decisions taken. And as I mentioned, it will only be populated for the undecided articles to accelerate your review in progress. So I'm going to take 8 more decisions, which will be not accurate, of course. So let's see how it goes. I'll probably have a lot of no recommendations since I'm taking my decisions randomly. All right, ratings are populated. From the first glimpse, you can see a question mark means no recommendation. So the system was not able to detect or to analyze this article, whether it should be included or excluded based on my inclusion and exclusion patterns. I can sort now by rating or any other option to see the ratings. No articles are flagged to include. No articles are flagged to exclude. Let's see another. Let's, for example, see this session. All right. I just want to show you exactly how ratings will appear so that it's easier for you to detect them and to understand how ratings work. All right, our last resort. So you can see in this case, there are no articles most likely to include, but for exclusion, I can see a lot of articles containing most likely to exclude, which will be represented with 2 thumbs down, and 1 thumb down means likely to exclude. If you see the opposite with the green color, it will be most likely to include with thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. 1 thumb up means likely to include. Of course, I can take decisions. For example, after I analyze and review them, make sure that the ratings are accurate, I can take decisions. And I can rerun the compute ratings feature again so that the system trains even better. So the more decisions I take, the more accurate our results will be. So let's see now. All right, based on my new decisions, the system is still assigning no recommendations. So basically think of it as a relevancy score out of 5. 5 being most likely to include, 4 being likely to include, 3 is no recommendation, 2 is more likely to exclude, and 1 is most likely to exclude. The closer the relevancy score is to 3, it will result in no recommendation. All right, so moving next, before heading to full text screening, let's stay on that the review. Before heading to full text screening, you must, as the owner, turn off the blinding. Once it's turned off, let's see it with turned on. So while blinding is turned on, I can track down my independent decisions, which is 61 exclude, 35 include. Let's turn off the blinding. Now I can see the combination from all members. So we can see 508 excluded, 32 included, and there are 5 conflicts with 2 maybes. So once the blinding is off, a conflict list will appear. So you need to resolve conflicts and maybes before heading to full text screening. A maybe will be flagged once a decision or a member assigned a maybe decision on an article, even if the majority is to include or even if it's a conflict. For the conflicting one that contains a maybe decision, it will also appear under the conflict list. So you can see we have these conflicts. Now to resolve these conflicts, each member needs to change their decision according to the consensus reached on the article. There is no overriding the decisions. You cannot assign one member to resolve the conflicts as it is a teamwork. Each member will need to resolve change their decision according to the consensus or the agreement reached on articles. So for example, if we are going to include this article, this member needs to include that article in order to resolve its conflict. Once it's included, it will be added to the included list and removed from conflicts. Once you resolve the conflicts, of course, with blinding on and off, you can export articles and you can export filtered articles in a supported format such as RefMan, RAS, BibTeX, EndNote, or CSV. CSV will allow you to view them in an Excel sheet. And when you export, you will receive that export through your email address of the one who initiated the export file. For other members, you can find it in the review chat to download it within 3 days. Of course, if you are exporting with blind on, you are only exporting your own decisions and only your own decisions will be appearing. Even if the articles are actually, in fact, screened by multiple members, with blinding on, you will be only able to see your own decisions in the export file. Now, that being said, let's navigate to full text screening and quickly move through full text and data extraction. For full text, I need to add my data either from the included list, the maybe list, or labeled list. Let's say the labeled, let's add by notes. Now, what's cool about the full text screening is that it's a separate stage from screening. So any article added to this stage will be a copy from the one from the screening stage, and it will be added with the undecided status, not indicating the previous decision on screening, so that you are still eliminating the risk of bias. And of course, you are maintaining the differentiation between the screening decisions regarding abstract and title, and the full text screening decisions. Additionally, it will, since it's a separate stage, your exporting will be only limited to full text rather than all articles from your review. Now, to conduct the full text, you need to upload full text PDF files that you need to save on your local listing. You need to obtain them from external databases. So for example, I have this PDF file. I need to continue. Once the file is uploaded, I can actually import it. Now I need to click on the PDF file, which will open that PDF file within the platform interface of Rayyan, so you can track down the full text and take your decision accordingly. You can bulk upload from your local desktop by selecting multiple articles and click and select more, the 3 PDF files related. Or, as I previously mentioned, if you uploaded them to your library and you own a premium subscription, you can just simply search My Library, which will work on searching articles, the PDF files that are related to your articles. So we can see only one match was found for this article, so it auto-attached its full text PDF file based on the title, as you can see. And if it's a match, it will be uploading that article or PDF file automatically. For the rest, you can upload them manually from your device. For example, I have these 3 articles, and you can as well, if you want a membership, use the auto matcher again to check if there is any matching PDF files with the articles. If not, you will need to manually match them. Now, let's say we included articles. We are ready for data extraction stage after the full text. So first, I need to add data, either from full text or from screening. Let's say the full text included once. It will be added with their full text PDF files, of course, and the title only appearing, allowing you for data extraction. Any missing PDF file that can be imported from the stage or any stage of Rayyan. So you can import PDF files from full text, screening, review data, or data extraction stage as well. To extract data, you need to construct and define questions. So I need to click on the plus icon, and then I need to define my questions. To define my questions, I need to follow these fields to fill them. First, I can group questions into sections. So for example, I'm going to say section A. And the first question will be, what is the target population? I need to specify the type of answer, whether it's a free text for open-ended responses or numbers for numerical responses. So I'm keeping it free text, and I'm going to say the header of the column is titled as population for easier way to identify the questions. And I'm going to mark it as a required question for data extraction. Now I need to add another question. For example, I can create another section or create another question for section A. Let's say, what is the intervention used? Again, free text, and let's say the column intervention, and it's a required question. Now, if I add another questions to section A or section B, it will be added. And of course, the sorting is not for now defined. You will be seeing sorting will rely on sections. So section 1 will be provided on the first, section B will follow all of the questions of section 1. Now, most importantly, to extract data after constructing your questions, click on extract data, which will open the full text PDF files of each of the articles. And then you can start adding your answers by searching your full text PDF files. For example, 12 adults as the population, and let's just say any word for intervention and mark it as completed. If you added, you can add more questions, answers to your questions. And of course, soon you will be able to use the auto extraction, which is available with a paid plan. For now, it's available only for enterprise users. As we are still rolling it out to all users, it still needs time as we are still developing and testing it out. You can see auto extraction will provide you with the answers, and it will reference these answers from where it was able to obtain them, as you can see from the full text PDF file. Additionally, if, for example, Let's auto extract. Excuse me. Let's remove the answers. For example, I have answered the first question, but I still need more time on the second question. I can save and exit to complete it later. I can track down the articles by status, whether they are extracted or not. Blinding will be taken into consideration. Additionally, only collaborators will be able to access the data extraction stage. So just keep that in mind. If a reviewer is you invited a member as a reviewer, they will not be able to access the data extraction stage. And you can track down the difference in questions between the collaborators assisting in the data extraction phase. Once you're done, you can export in CSV format your results. And lastly, before heading to answer questions, quickly through the Prisma flowchart diagram, which can be created from the overview stage. With a premium membership, you can access a Prisma diagram. Clicking on it will open Prisma in a different tab. Apologies, my session has timed out. Let's log in again. Right, so on the Prisma diagram, you can see automatically most of it is auto-populated. So as you can see, records removed for screening, screened, excluded, etc. Even the reasons used throughout the review, either from screening or full text screening. So these are the reasons available. You can manually edit your Prisma diagram at any time. Make sure to download anything with manual edits since it does not save any manual edits. To add from where you obtained your references from, to just identify your databases, all you need to do is go to main options, switch under individual databases from not included to included, and then you can see there are examples available so that you can replace them with the actual obtainment of databases. Once you're done, let's say I didn't obtain from any register, I'm going to keep it blank. And instead of, we have used two databases. Instead of the example database one, our actual obtainment was from PubMed, which is 560 articles. From Web of Science, we obtained 80. And I'm going to remove the rest of the examples. This way, my Prisma diagram actually reflects all the work and I reported it correctly. And then once I'm done, I need to download it in one of these options. You can learn more about Prisma and you can learn more about all of the features available throughout the Help Center, so you can access how to use features and search for the exact feature you're looking for better understanding. As you can see, Prisma also will show you the sections that it will auto-populate, the sections that needs your support, needs your manual entry, and of course, it will also indicate how you can add your own specific database results. I will leave it in the chat box and I will go through the questions right now, so please feel free to drop in the Q&A box. I will be only focusing on questions that have not yet been answered. Thank you. For the first question, as I can see regarding Prisma, as I mentioned, it does not save. So this is why you probably lost all your work, since Prisma will need you to actually download it before closing that window. So just make sure with every edit to download your Prisma diagram. If I want one team member to review only a random 10% of articles, how should I do that? As I mentioned, using the sampling feature, you can conduct this. So you can rewatch the recording of the session in order to understand how samples work, or just simply navigate through our Help Center to search for how to create samples. Sorry, I joined late, but do anything changes according to the review type selected? No, it's only work as an identifier rather than granting you access to certain features or functionalities depending on the type. So it will only work as an identifier for yourself and for team members. Inclusion and exclusion criteria added is just for authors, reviewers to see, or can it automatically suggest the relevant articles? What is the benefit of adding them in Rayyan? So this is an important question. Basically, the screening criteria you set, for now, it works as a reminder for yourself and for teammates. However, we are still working on releasing AI Reviewer, which relies on the screening criteria, as well AI Analyzer. So you can see, for example, this article, if I click to analyze, which will use AI, in order to analyze the articles based on the screening criteria and will provide you with labels and notes to that article indicating whether it should be excluded or included based on your screening criteria. If it matches, if the metadata of articles matches your screening inclusion criteria, it will result in inclusion. If it doesn't, it will result in exclusion of the article. Similarly, for AI Reviewer, which will work as another member on your team to screen articles based on the screening criteria. So we can see the research pilot analyzer is informing us it should be excluded. This is a summary of evaluation, detailed evaluation, and of course the result. So this should be taken into consideration in the future updates. Of course, we will be providing you with more insights on these features. PDF files of articles accepted as a reference into Rayyan. Unfortunately not, you need to upload the reference and then you can attach its full text PDF file within Rayyan. What is AI Reviewer? I can see it in my student account. As I mentioned, it's still not released to all members. It will be available only for members who are testing it out and of course, internal team for better, so that we are able to basically make sure that the reviewer, AI screener, AI analyzer, and the auto extraction are working up to expectations. Would it be possible using the auto extraction tool to automatically search within the discussion section of each article for a predefined set of terms or phrases and extract flag whether they are present? So in other words, I've shown you exactly how auto extraction works. It depends on the questions you assign for that extraction. So in that extraction, once you define and create your questions, the system will rely on the PDF file and will answer the questions based on these questions. So if you're looking for the population, the target population, it will search the full text PDF file for that target population and provide you with the results. I would like to report the description part of your submit a request page doesn't work. Let me check. I can see it's working, so probably it's an issue on your end. So make sure that you clear your browser's cookies and cache, or try from a different tab or different or a private window. What type of subscription or package is required to gain access to Research Pilot and auto extraction? For now, there is no subscription. For now, it's available only for enterprise. So if you are part of an enterprise license, you will be able to access them. Otherwise, you will need to wait until it's rolled out to all members. And we define actually with its availability in which plans. What is the legal issue if we provide the full text, which is behind the paywall into Rayyan? I'm not sure I understand your question. If you could please elaborate more on the goal you actually have in mind. Can you add text highlights manually? Highlights will be available with keywords for include and exclude. So if you add a keyword for any of these sections, it will be automatically highlighted based on the keyword. Prisma is only available with a premium version, student, professional, etc. Last time I joined, the video recording was not sent. Please, would you send it to this? All right. I'll make sure that you will receive it. If you previously did not receive it, make sure that you whitelist Rayyan. Probably there will be an issue on your end. Either the emails are bouncing or you have them in your spam or junk inbox. So I'm just adding this article. If you're not receiving emails from Rayyan, to just follow these guides. All right, so I'm going to take 2 more questions since we are a lot ahead of time. Can I export my finalized list of included articles out of Rayyan? Yes, of course, as I showed you. You can filter by included and then export. Of course, you will need to take into consideration blinding. If it's on, you will export your own independent screening results. If it's off, it will export the other or members' screening results. Yes, you can send the recording to your collaborators, but it is probably better that they actually join the webinar session or in order to receive it themselves. All right, so apologies for not answering most of your questions. We still have a bunch of questions. You can reach out to our support team or rewatch the recording of this session, because probably most of your questions are answered throughout this session. I would like to thank you again, everyone, for joining today's session. We will be catching you later. And of course, we're wishing you all happy reviewing and happy researching, depending where you are in the world.